Lord Jesus, it is you who wakes me up every day.
Rest in peace to X. Rough Rider Rescue. Somebody tell the law, I got 100 Moors. If the blood pours, I got 100 Moors. Even my Demegoddess riding for the cause. And she wop, boy, you niggas wop, boy. Somebody tell the law, I got 100 Moors. If 100 Jones, if the blood pours, I got 100 Moors. It's the Guard Out Podcast. You are now rocking with Demegod, the big homie's big homie. And tonight is the Goddess Hour. I figured we had a lot of men on the show, the last two shows. So we need to bring some divine feminine energy on the show. And I got a special guest in here. She's a powerful woman, you know what I mean? I've been following her online, and she's been doing a lot. And I really appreciate her coming, Chrissy Grams.
It is truly an honor to be here.
That's what's up.
And I also have been following your work. And I just want to say thank you for having me. And thank you for the work that you're doing in the community.
I appreciate
building
that.
Our youth up as well.
That's a fact. I appreciate that. I used to really think about, like, most young girls, why they don't have the ability to understand who they are. It's because they don't have the role models. And the role models is sometimes it's not in the home. Sometimes it's other places.
Absolutely.
And I commend you on the things you're doing in your school. You're a principal of a school.
Vice principal, yeah.
Vice principal. And I'm sure your presence is strong with the young women in that school. So tell me a little about the experience of being the vice principal.
So I want to start off with the reason why I went into education.
Well, tell us first, where is the school?
So in East Orange, New Jersey.
East Orange. Shout out to East Orange, New Jersey. Shout out to East Orange.
East Orange Campus High School. And I actually graduated from that school as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So going back home. But yeah, so just education in general, it's really a way to get kids at their roots. And like you said, you know, sometimes you don't have that role model at home. And the school is that safe haven. And it's that place where you can find that elder that can kind of change your life around. And building students up, building kids up, building that whole child up. That really is one of my missions, my life missions. And I have a whole child approach where I'm not just trying to teach them from a book. I'm trying to teach them how to teach themselves.
Exactly.
And to own their own knowledge. So I look at education in a different way. I really look at it as a light and a pathway out of whatever darkness you may be in. It's a pleasure.
So I'm sure that the kids in the school see you as a motherly figure, because you remind me of Miss Bracy in my elementary school.
Shout out to Miss Bracy.
Shout out to Miss Bracy. Yeah, she was like a pillar to us in the school. She was like a motherly figure, and we couldn't really understand the energy that she brought. And it's because we wasn't at the level consciously to really understand where she was coming from as an adult, an indigenous woman, and being an adult and working in the school of the system. But we definitely, you know, took to her as a mother. And sometimes she used to put the ruler to us too, you know what I mean? Sometimes she used to, and my mother gave her permission. My mother told her, put the ruler to him.
It takes a village, right?
Yeah, it takes a village for real. So Miss Bracy used to put the ruler to us, and you give me that energy. You give me the energy of Miss Bracy. So I also know that the young girls in your school watch you. You feel me? And I commend you on that, because they don't have a lot of, like I said, the role models. They don't see your whole image, the head wrap, you know what I'm saying? Everything indigenous culture, like they don't see that. So for them to get to see that from somebody in a superior position or in a position like you in, it's like, it's dope just to even know you're doing that.
I'm telling you, thank you so much for saying that. And you're right, they don't see. And I say all the time, you can't be what you've never seen before. So imagine a young girl feeling like she is worthless. Imagine a young girl feeling like she has no power. where else is she going to learn that from? She's never seen it before. So sometimes you have to be that example, and it's your job to be that example, because if you're not, you can lose a whole generation.
And that's what we're on the verge of stopping. We're on the verge of stopping the loss of our generations. Generation after generation. It's like we generationally cursed.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? So that's what I'm kind of like in the hip hop industry, and just with this podcast, and just with rap music as a whole. I'm not really trying to be counterproductive to producing a good stock of generation. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I was part of tearing down the generations. So now it's like I want to be a part of building them up, but building them up in a way that some people probably wouldn't understand, because I'm talking their language.
Yes.
And I'm with them.
You're meeting them where they are.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's the thing. Like, I get a lot of flack from elder Moors and, just elders, period. They don't really understand the music. They don't understand my platform. They don't understand what I'm doing. But I am the big homie. So I got to step up, and all the other big homie around the country, in every ghetto, Chicago, LA, like we the ones who move, the ones that's in, our term of, they're not our peers, but we kind of like in the same type of industry, the street industry.
That is,
you feel what I'm saying? So that's what it's really about. I want to talk about too. You had a head wrap tutorial event. Yeah. Tell us about that.
So my nonprofit, Circles for Healing nonprofit, we did a head wrapping tutorial.
Shout out to Circles for Healing, Circles for Healing nonprofit.
And we had a crowning ceremony that the women who signed up for the BYOB, they came to get head wraps and to learn how to wrap their hair. But in the process of it, with the music, with the art, we hosted it in an art gallery.
That's dope.
With the music, with the art, once they learned how to crown their hair, we had mirrors available. So just seeing their faces light up when they looked in those mirrors, and they had those crowns on their heads, it really was a beautiful moment. And just seeing the confidence exude from them, once it was like seeing they came in one way and they left another. And they left, it was like an aura, and you can kind of see it. And seeing that confidence exude from them once they wrap their hair.
So
and I say all the time that, experience and exposure is everything. And sometimes, like we said before, you can't be what you've never seen before. Some of those women walked out different.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
So tell me about the young girls. There's some students in your school that you taught how to wrap their hair. And you've seen a difference in them as well.
I've been rapping for years now, and there are definitely students now who wrap their hair, and you can spot them in the hallways with their head wraps on. And some I taught how to rap in my office. Some I taught how to rap in the classroom when I was in the classroom. I've been rapping for years. And just seeing their posture change once they start rapping, seeing not understanding, and when they see me for the first time, some of them, it's just like, you're modern, you're hip, and you don't lose any of your femininity by rapping, or even your sexuality. You can still be beautiful and with your whole head wrapped.
Exactly.
And just seeing their posture walking down the hallway change, and their behavior change, because now I know that I'm royal. I know who I am. I have a glimpse of it, and they start to become their true selves.
Facts.
Not become somebody else.
Exactly.
But they start to tap into that hidden, that
divine feminine energy.
Yeah.
And it's dope. I think it's dope that the head wraps is implemented with them, because they need to understand the roots of their hair. You feel me? Their hair is their antennas.
Yeah.
And they need to understand that their antennas need to be protected. You need to protect your crown chakra. You got a crown chakra here, and your crown chakra is connected to a lot of your supernatural abilities, your super spiritual abilities. As women have supernatural abilities. Yes. They are super women. You feel me? They're very powerful. So when a woman knows her power, she can protect her hair. Don't let people touch your hair. You know what I'm saying? You don't put other people's hair in your hair. I know y'all like to do the, you know what I'm saying, the weaves and all that. But what happens is you taking somebody else's energy and you putting it on top of your crown chakra. So when you start, you don't know why you depressed. You don't know why you feel in certain ways. It's because of these things you're not looking out for. So the young women need to understand that their hair is the roots. It's the roots in the 5% theology and the 5% lessons. They say that the woman is earth. She's symbolic to the earth. So we understand that the earth has trees all around the earth, and we know how significant trees are to our life and to the earth.
Yes.
And so when you look at a woman's hair, her hair is like roots. So when you see a tree, and if you was able to dig a tree up and you see the roots is symbolic to what's on your head. You know what I'm saying? So when you're talking about electromagnetic forces, and you're talking about your hair, and you're talking about trees, and you're talking about roots, and you're talking about the earth, the spin of the earth counterclockwise, while the core of the earth is spinning the opposite direction, it's creating electromagnetic force, energy that we could tap into. And you tap into from your hair, you could tap into from your hand, but your hair stores that energy. Once you have the ability of knowing how to tap into that energy, you can store that energy in your hair and use it for the best of your benefit of for your supernatural powers. So we don't know that, though. They don't teach us that in the public schools. They don't teach us nothing about knowledge of self. It's like the education is like generic. So we know that, and that's the whole point of people creating podcast shows and people creating art. We spoke about how art moves the culture. It's not the politicians. It's not the aristocrats. It's not the wealthy. It's art. The people who participate in art is the one who moves society. We move the culture, and it's been like that for thousands of years.
And connects others.
That's a fact. So I commend you. You said you had the poets, jazz, and soul music. So it was like a poetry slam.
Absolutely, with the head wrapping. I always include the arts because, like we said before, the arts connect people. The arts move people.
That's a fact.
And the arts heal people, and it's a medium that one can tap into to go from one self to their next self, to their higher self.
Exactly.
And the arts allow people to navigate. It's kind of like the seas. If you want to talk about maritime, right? I can get from one place to another by navigating the arts.
Exactly.
And it's a beautiful thing. But everybody doesn't understand the power of the arts.
Of course not.
Yeah.
Because everybody is not on the same level. And everybody can't do the same things.
Yeah.
You feel me? So, and we have to really understand that, respect that, and have compassion on those that may not live up to the expectations of what we think somebody should be. You feel what I'm saying? Because we all on different levels. And it's not really about changing somebody. It's about planting a seed.
There we go.
And allowing them to change themselves
There we go.
in time. You feel what I'm saying? So I think that the arts is also spiritual. It conveys messages. It has always conveyed messages, has always taught people, you know what I'm saying? Shakespeare with his writings, and, Mozart with his music, and the painters of till today, who painted the Mona Lisa? Which one of them Europeans?
Which one of those Europeans?
Yeah. Who? Oh, Da Vinci. Yeah, Da Vinci. So, Da Vinci, he encoded a lot of messages in his art. So art has always moved the society and will always move society. And speaking as a creator, I love to create. So I already know it's spiritual. You feel me? It's definitely spiritual.
What's your overall purpose for your podcast? If one would ask you, what would it be?
To teach. To teach and be an example of what a Moorish God King living in America today is supposed to be like. You feel what I'm saying? Because a lot of times we get it twisted, and the young boys got it twisted. A lot of things they indulge in is not really manly. It's not really kingly. You feel me? It's not gangster. You feel me? So, you know what I mean? It's up to the big homies to really come in the communities and let these kids know, like, yo, that's really not gangster, bro. That's really not. You're not getting no props from me or anybody being the way you being. You feel what I'm saying? Walk in this light if you can. And if you can't, do the knowledge.
There we go.
Because that's knowledge is power. You feel what I'm saying? So if we could get the knowledge, the wisdom, applying the knowledge, you acquire wisdom. So you tell him to do the knowledge, and he probably won't do the knowledge till he's about 40. You feel
That's
me?
true.
But he will always remember the big homie telling him, yo, you need to read books. You need to do the knowledge. You know what I'm saying?
We are the new ancestors.
That's a fact. Another thing I wanted to bring up too, there's always, like, I see online, they be posting, they always have a comparison between the public school system and the prison system. And being a member of both, you know what I'm saying? Being a member of both, I definitely can understand that. And I see it. And it's kind of like, it's kind of awful. It's atrocious on how they have prepped our young boys for the prison system. It's like how it's not. I know it's not a coincidence that the cafeteria and the schools look the same way as the cafeterias in the prisons.
They call it school to prison pipeline for a reason. Yeah.
The school buses are the same buses. They just paint them a different color. And those are the buses that they transport the inmates to the prisons. But it's the same school bus. So I know all of these things aren't by chance. You know what I'm saying? So we know these things are by design. You know what I'm saying? And as a mother of a young man,
yes,
I know you're a mother of a young man.
Yes.
I know that's weary. That wears you down. That wears us all down. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, especially as a mother of a young king. My son goes to a predominantly white school, and I have to pay very close attention to what he's being taught. Just for example, I believe that when it comes to Black or Moorish history, that's 365.
That's a fact.
But one thing that I noticed at his new school is that they didn't celebrate at all. And I had to realize, where we lived and where he was. And he's grateful to have a mother and a father and a family who can teach him at home, but everybody doesn't have that.
Everybody don't.
Yeah, everybody doesn't have a me and a you, in the community or at home. So it's education is just so important, and education looks different. There's the American education, right? And one thing I learned from traveling in Africa and doing research in Africa is that what we think of education here is not the same look of education back in the motherland. Education comes from that. It's observing. It's also working with your hands. It's having those conversations with the elders. Sitting with those griots and learning the history. It's communal. It looks different. It looks completely different, and it's also about building up your ability to teach yourself and your ability to tap into your own gifts, and whatever you're strong at, you teach your brother and your sister. And everybody has a weakness, but I can be built up by learning from my brother or my sister, from my elder. So it looks different, and kind of bringing back home that taking out that westernized education and teaching, that back home, that motherland education, teaching in that realm. It has a different feel, and it sits different.
So how you feel about homeschooling?
How do I feel about homeschool? I feel that everything is not for everybody. And for some people, homeschool is the way to go. That's a fact. And for others, it also is a privilege. When you talk about homeschooling and Western education, that also is a privilege. So it's about what you have available to you. What's best for you, what's safe for you. And who's your homeschool teacher? you know who's teaching you?
I think that personally, when I decide to have my tribe, I will homeschool my children, and I have already have basically a curriculum that I wrote out that I know would be imperative for them to know. So I would definitely have the mother of the child,
yes,
very involved in the homeschooling process. That's number one. Absolutely. And then have other intermediaries come in. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't call them teachers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I don't, like you said, I know that it's different. It's not, what I'm bringing is different. You know what I'm saying? It's not like, I'm not really teaching my child nothing. They already know everything. They come into this world knowing what they know. So we have to help them remember, and we have to bring what they know already out. Yeah. Your eyes and your brains are the same size when you're born, and they don't change. Your eyes and your brains are the same size when you're born. So yeah, that's basically that homeschooling thing is very important. But we're gonna cut the show, and we're gonna come back. We got another guest in the building. This is the Goddess Hour tonight. Nothing but females in the building, divine feminines. And I'm Demegod, the big homie's big homie.
Diamonds, she grinding. She my demigoddess. She manifesting sex magic on my anaconda. I'm eating yoni underwater, fresh piranha. Cause her skin is darker, she got life harder. Rage fire. By God's grace, Versace lace, dope body to match the
God
face.
Out podcast, you rocking with the big homies, big homie Demegod. And I have the beautiful, educated beauty in the building. Social media influencer, brand ambassador, co-host. She's an amazing woman. She basically worked with me on one of my projects. She was one of the models in one of my videos. Actually, is one of the most popular videos right now. Ashe. Shout out to Solar and Gangstar, you know, Guru and all that. Yeah, and we did that together, and that was dope. You know what I mean? I'm putting some more videos too. I'm about to put them in work. And I'm glad to have you.
Can't wait.
Thanks for coming. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
That's a fact. I remember you was doing the live action.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so we actually just taped our first episode for season 4. So we had 3 interviews on there. We had a couple of artists, a couple of fashionistas, people who own, like entrepreneurs, own several businesses and stuff like that. So that was the season premiere of season 4. And then we have interviews coming up. So if anybody is interested or knows anybody is interested and they want
You heard that? Any artists that want to get interviewed, you know what I'm saying? What y'all do? Artists, y'all do brand ambassadors? Everybody
that wants to get their brand out there, their name out there.
Small businesses, you know what I'm saying? Entrepreneurs, people who own businesses, if you want, they definitely interviewing you. So you can holler at Educated Beauty. Tell them where they can holler at you at.
_educated_beauty on Instagram.
Fire. So we just sitting here talking. This is the beautiful Chrissy Grams, and she's the vice president of the school in Newark, and we was just talking about how the representation of our young ladies, how they need to have role models, and they need to have the proper representation because there's not a lot of that in our communities.
Absolutely.
And you are one of the ones I would say too, in your own way, you represent too. You feel me? You definitely represent. Because you got a head on your shoulders. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the stuff you be posting be education. You know what I'm saying? A lot of stuff be awareness. You be trying to get the word out. So you use your following to really like touch the people and really like enlighten the people.
Definitely.
And that's dope. You feel me?
Yeah.
I like that.
Thank you.
So what else is going on?
Well, it's pretty much like you said, you know, I just have my following on Instagram. I try to educate people as much as I can. I try to,
like get people involved in certain things, especially mental health.
Yes.
I like
Mental
to talk a lot
health.
about
Come on
that.
now.
Yeah. But like, especially
Yeah.
in our community, we don't
Yeah.
really talk about it.
It's taboo.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And I do talk more about men mental health because I feel like that gets overlooked a lot
That's a
of
fact.
times.
Yep, it's true.
Females, tend to get more empathy.
Yeah.
Especially with everything that we have to go through. So when men, they get overlooked, they get told, to suck it up, to deal with it. You can't cry, be a man, be strong. So I try to touch on that, like, especially with the suicide rate going up in our community and everything
That's a
that
fact.
goes with that.
I'm dealing with myself, like, I just lost my mother February 1st.
I didn't know that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, a lot of people wouldn't really know because I'm still moving and shaking. You feel me? But
That's
it's
strength right
definitely
Right.
it's definitely affecting my mental health.
Right.
I have my moments where I go in and out, but
Can we honor her right now? What's her name?
Dolores Williams.
We honor you, Dolores.
Thank you. We honor you, mommy.
Yeah.
She got a book out too. That if y'all want to check it out, y'all out there, if y'all want to check out my mom's book, it's called The Revelation and the Light of the Message from God given to me. So, you know what I'm saying? She had her own revelation. She was a Christian woman and she had her gifts and she had her own revelations. But back to mental health and men, I've been dealing with anxiety over the years from going to, I went to prison when I was like 15 years old. And that really, even though, we be in the macho mode, and we act like it's not really affecting us, but it affected me, and it affected me to the point where anxiety, and I deal with the anxiety issues and all that. But
And
knowing
anxiety
this,
is real.
anxiety is real.
A lot of people don't know that they have it though. Too.
Mhm.
I'll like observe people because I have my degree in psychology. So I'll observe people sometimes, and they'll do these like.
Yo,
things
hold
to
on.
calm them down.
You
Is he
heard
like,
what
not
you
gonna
just
do
said?
that?
She's not only beautiful, but she has a degree in psychology.
There we go. Let it be known.
Let's go.
So I tend to observe people, and anxiety is something that a lot of people don't know that they have. So a lot of times, like, I'll observe my friends or people that I'm close to, and they'll do these things. I'm just like, do you have anxiety? Are you okay? This is like a way, like a calming method. They'll do things with their hair or their fingers, or that they'll move around certain ways. And I always try to suggest that because a lot of people don't know.
Right.
And then when they go through certain things, they're like, you're right. Like, that's why I feel uncomfortable when I do this, or this is why I have a hard time completing a task because I have anxiety.
I think this would be a good time for a teachable moment for the community and the viewers. What is your definition of anxiety with your background?
Okay, so that's
In your own words. Not the text, in your own words.
no. So in my own words, I feel like anxiety is it could just be a person that has a hard time with dealing with like everyday social things. So I would say like being in a really social environment, they have a hard time communicating in a proper way, or they have a hard time dealing with tasks that you would think like any other any other person could deal with. To them is like so hard, and they don't understand why, because it's like, okay, like now they're overwhelmed. A lot of people have panic attacks. That's definitely the biggest form of anxiety. Some people think because they don't have panic attacks, they don't have anxiety,
Right.
but that's not the case. You can have anxiety and not have panic attacks, or you could have your form of panic attacks where it's just like you lose your breath, you feel hot, you feel sweaty, you feel tired, you feel fatigued. So that's my.
And I think it's so important to, first of all, I commend you on the work that you do. Because when we talk about mental health, we really need to get that out there more, and taking out taking away the taboo and the stigma of, having, either anxiety or just mental health issues in general. It doesn't make one weak. And I think that that's one of the reasons why so many people try to hide mental health issues or just anxiety in general. Right. You must be weak if you have this, and that's a lie. So try to take those lies out of the narrative. Yeah.
For me, anxiety for me is when, like, I had this thing, I don't know if you remember in the Matrix, when everything gets slow.
Yeah. Slows down.
Everything slows down.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's be those pressure moments.
Okay.
It's when things is like really getting real crazy.
Right.
And I custom that to shell shock.
Mm.
So even though I wasn't in the army and I never been in a war, a real war, I have been in street wars.
Right,
You
that's
feel
right.
me? And the streets have given me shell shock. So when certain things happen, shootouts, you know what I'm saying, certain fights and things, violence pop off, automatically I walk around with anxiety because I have adapted myself that when these things happen, everything is slow motion. So a lot of times people be like, yo, how did you even think to go do that when all of that is going on? And I'm like, yo, I don't even know. It's just slow motion. I just see everything slow motion.
Right.
Heartbeat. You hear the heart, I hear my heartbeat, everything goes.
In superhero movies and shows, that's a superpower too, right?
That's a superpower. That's a fact.
So
That's a fact.
sometimes looking at things from a different lens, like
That's a
when,
fact.
like a lot of people don't have the ability to slow things down,
That's a
and
fact.
you're able to catch certain
That's a
things.
fact.
So when you were describing that, hell, I wish I could do that. You know, maybe I could,
Right.
you know, get through hard
Right.
situations differently. That's a superpower too.
Yeah, that's a
Yes,
fact. So
definitely.
there's always a negative
Yeah.
to a positive.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
absolutely.
There's always a negative to a positive. Growing up, having to go through that is not something that a kid needs to be going through.
Yeah.
But you build certain gifts that you, like I said, we born knowing, we born without gifts. It just takes certain situations and people to bring those gifts out of us. You know what I'm saying? We're not really teaching these kids nothing. These kids they come here knowing. You know what I'm saying? Your brain and your eyes is the same size when you're born till death. Your brain and your eyes. The eyes is the windows to the soul. So if you understand that, you know what I'm saying, then you understand self.
And unfortunately, it's trauma that brings out some of those superpowers. Because, yeah.
So we was talking about earlier, we was talking about the word black. And we was talking about this Moroccan. We was talking about this beautiful Moroccan flag here.
Yes.
And Chrissy had asked me, ask me again, Chrissy.
So I want to know about this flag here. I want to know about the background and your connection to it, and how that is connected to us as a people.
Well, that's a good question. This flag is 50,000 years old. This flag is our national flag. So the United States flag is not a national flag. That's not the government's flag. That's a Star-Spangled Banner. That's a banner to do business and do commerce here. So the Europeans, under the peace treaty with the Kingdom of Morocco, so when you look at Morocco and Africa today, that's the Kingdom of Morocco. But the Kingdom of Morocco, legally in international law, maritime law, falls under the Moroccan Empire. This flag is the flag of the Moroccan Empire. And the Moroccan Empire is the Kemetic Empire, which stretched from Egypt to California. So this has always been our national flag. And the people that we know of today that we call Negro, Black, Colored, African American are really Moors. And they all fall under the banner of the Moroccan Kingdom because it's also under the Moroccan Empire. So don't get it twisted. You understand? This flag is the flag our people flew before Christopher Columbus came here, before they colonized us. This flag is the flag, but without the green star. You take the green star out and you just have a red flag. That was our national flag, and then the green star was put later. And that's a whole different conversation of the science of the green star. But our ancestors here, who are part of the Iroquois Nation, flew this flag. So when I say Iroquois Nation, I'm talking about the indigenous Americans. The cowboy, Indian, Hollywood thing is not true. All of that is fake. You understand? They enslaved the people that was here. They didn't bring millions of slaves from Africa to enslave and build up America. This is all fiction. So the conquerors get a chance to write the history. So going back to the flag, our flag basically is our national flag from our ancestors. So we talking about the Iroquois nation, we talking about Cherokee, we talking about Blackfoot, we talking about all the indigenous tribes of America from east to west. They all fell under this banner. And when George Washington and them came here, they basically made a peace treaty with us through the Sultan of Morocco that we were to be in business together. And somewhere down the line, it flipped and switched. And they didn't honor, a lot of things they didn't honor. Like a part of the peace treaty was George Washington was supposed to let the slaves go. And he made the peace treaty, and when he left Morocco and came back to the United States, he never told his slaves that they was free to go. The Sultan of Morocco, if everybody don't know this, but Morocco had declared war on America at one point and started hijacking their ships because they stopped paying the tariffs. They pay Morocco a tax for the business that they do on Moroccan land. America, the word in Moorish Latin means Morocco. So we standing on Morocco. America, United States, North America is Africa. Because when you think about Pangea, the continents was together. And if you put all the continents together in a puzzle, you'll see that North America and South America connects directly to Africa. You understand? So knowing this science, and we was here. Don't think we wasn't here. Don't think we had the great earthquake and we wasn't here. What did you think the flood is about? Right. A lot of our religions and a lot of our cultures talk about a flood that happened. Right. Well, the great earthquake was the making of the Atlantic Ocean. That was the great earthquake. And it was a flood. You understand? So we have to know and understand that we was here. And we already had peace treaties, and we already had a Declaration of Independence. We already had a Constitution. We already had all that. We let them borrow that. You understand? We let them borrow that, and they plagiarized that and did what they did. So it's a whole science behind the Moors and people of indigenous America not being Negro, Black, colored, and African American. And as long as we go by these titles, they'll be able to do whatever they want with us. They could shoot us in the street because they don't shoot Chinese people in the street. Because if you shoot a Chinese man in the street, the Chinese embassy that's connected to the Chinese government is going to call the White House and say, hey, your officers is being racist towards Chinese people and they're shooting us in the streets. This has to stop or we declare war. Okay, so but when a Black person or African American, which is two continents, we calling ourselves two continents. It's ridiculous. African American. Doesn't make sense. So when we calling ourselves this, and a police officer shoots us in the street, there's no Black embassy. There's no African American embassy. There's no African American flag. There's no Black flag. There's nowhere in history and legal documentation through the United Nations and maritime law that there's ever been a government named Black. Ever been a government named Negro, colored, or African American. So to take this land from us, they have to keep us away from this information. And to keep us away from this information, they keep us in this Black culture, this Black mentality, this African. We proud. So I'm Black and I'm proud. You Black, but Black means deaf. So you're saying you proud to be deaf. If you look in the law books, Black means dead. So you are actually calling yourself a dead people, which we do show that. We show that we are dead mentally, culturally, spiritually. We could dance and we can make music and we could do all these things. But when it comes to any high science or anything that can liberate us from bondage from the oppressor, they keep us from it. So that flag is everything. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know if you've seen I posted it and there's a few people online posted it. There was the videos, it looked like it's from the 80s, 1989, 88. But there was a Moor who was pulled over in Philadelphia, and they had called a whole squad. They had a whole, 20 officers. They called the sergeant, the captain, and he was like, I'm not giving you nothing. I don't have a license or registration. I have a right as a Moor, as being indigenous to the land. You are, but you have to claim this. If the people do not claim it, then you can't benefit from these privileges. You understand? And that's what we're not being told. Now, George Washington was supposed to let every slave go that came and declared their nationality, that declared that they fall under the Moroccan Empire and that they are Moor. And once they declared that, they're supposed to let the slaves free. Right. Anybody that claimed that. But now that's why they don't give you the information. Right. You understand? George Washington came back from the meeting and just let his slaves keep working. Just keep working. Right? You know what I'm saying? So we got to know and understand that. And know and understand that it's a mentality when we call ourselves that. So until you claim your nationality, and I advise everybody to go to your nearest Moorish Science Temple of America and file your paperwork. Make sure you're going to the right ones because we're not all in sync. And we're not all 501(c)(3)s. You feel me? Some of us fall under the actual banner of Marcus Garvey and Noble Drew Ali. And we'll file the paperwork for you. You know what I'm saying? That's a whole different topic for a whole different show. But I want to get into the divine feminine's perspective of what's going on today with Russia and, just the whole war bit.
First, what I would like to point out is, and this may be a little taboo as well, but we have to own our power and our thoughts. Look at what happened with the Haiti crisis, right? Where was all this corporate support when we had the Haitian refugees, not on somebody else's, on American borders? Where was all this help? And where was all of the publicity? So I go back to those images, and those images stay in my mind. And even, some of the work that was done on the grassroots organizations, it took so much time for the Haitian, officials and government to even get a meeting to sit down to talk about help and how we were going to get help. So I have to think about how we as a people are treated as well. And if those were Moorish faces, would it be the same airtime? Would we be getting the same assistance? And historically, it has been shown that we would not.
Exactly.
So that's on the forefront of my mind. Yeah.
And even with everything that's going on there, from what I've seen with videos and what I heard, that the Africans that are there and the Caribbeans that are there are getting mistreated. Yes. They're getting put last. So it's like, they're making it so, we gotta help them, we gotta help them, we gotta help them. But it's as usual, even in another country, we're put last. So it's just kind of like, I'm kind of like on the fence on that. Like, should we help them? Because the country itself is not helping people that look like me. So why should I want to help them?
I definitely agree with you on that. I definitely want to put in the spotlight that America has been invading countries for a minute. It's like, right. Why is it? Because it's Russia. Right. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm watching the news anchors and they like, everybody boycott America, boycott Russia because of what they doing. But America, what the atrocities America has done, like, that don't even make sense. Like, you understand? So for me, Putin is following an agenda. I feel like all the Europeans, I feel like this is how I feel. And this is an opinion. This is my fact and my truth, though. The TV is a stage. The Republicans, the Democrats, that's all a stage. They all party together at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
And on the world stage, it's the same thing with these big governments. These big governments are in bed with each other in different ways. Even Russia and America. They put on TV that they almost on the brink of war and they don't like each other and all that. But you got to understand, it's a stage. And you're on the stage and there's actors on the stage. So, that's just what it is. And I feel like everybody need to get prepared, though. You know what I'm saying? Some financial crisis is about to happen. Food crisis is about to happen.
Water.
But these is all by design. You understand? I read a book, Behold of a Pale Horse, that spoke about all of these stuff that's happening today. And I just want my people out there, you know what I'm saying? Don't be just shucking and jiving and dancing and, you know what I'm saying, drilling and trapping, you know what I'm saying, and not really understanding what's going on with the financial district, how they taking the money, and how things is changing all around you. So you just need to be prepared, man, from the big homie's big homie. You know what I'm saying? You just need to be prepared. I really appreciate y'all ladies coming out.
Thank you for having us.
Man. It's a beautiful show. And yeah, man, we gotta have this again. You gonna come again, right?
Yeah, of course.
You too? You gonna come again, Chris?
Absolutely.
All right, that's what's up.
You are beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
I have to honor that.
That's a fact. That's why I picked her to be in my video. Word up. All right, so yo, this is the big homie's big homie Demegod, and this is the God Hour Podcast.